This is the first project we'll be working on today. I plan on sanding the top and then painting the bottom white. First, I take some Mrs. Meyer's and clean it really good because I did find it on the side of the road. Now, once that is done, it was filthy. I take my screwdriver and pry the back panels off. It was really pretty simple. It was just held in there with some brad nails, I believe. Comes off pretty simple and without any damage. So I will be able to use those panels for something later. With the panels out, it looks more open and I liked that. The next step is sanding. I am not an expert. All I know is I used 220 grit sandpaper and went with the grain of the wood. Here is how it turned out and it looked pretty good. Next, we will be taking Antique Waverly Wax. Now, I did not like how red the undertone was, so I do decide to darken it up with some Craft Smart matte black paint, and it made a much richer, darker brown, and it was much better. It was what I was looking for. Now you can see the difference in the color of this. It's a more rich, dark brown color. So I'm just painting the whole top of this, and again going with the grain of the wood. Once the top is done, we're going to use this Chiffon Cream by Rust-Oleum. It's a chalk paint and this Lenser brush. It worked better than the Waverly brushes in my opinion. Now we're just going to get thin coats of paint on here. I will go ahead and do about 3 coats of paint. After the first coat, you should have, spots peeking through. Just when you're painting, just go with the grain of the wood and do thin coats. That's my best tips that I can give you. Also, when you're painting, work in sections. Like I done this section, then moved on to the next, and this is where I'm telling you, you're going to need about 3 coats. It should still be spotty, and here we go. This is the first coat. Completely finished, and see how you can see through and it's spotty. It's normal. That's what it should look like anyway. Then here is me adding the second coat of paint. You can see where I'm starting to get more coverage, and then the third coat will definitely be where your paint looks good and everything's covered. Make sure that you're covering all the nooks and crannies and taking a step back and looking at your piece to see if there's any imperfections, and that you're covering everything that needs to be covered. And then here is how it turned out, guys. I love it. It's going at the foot of my bed, and I'll show you where I put it later. Oh, I almost forgot. We did put a few coats of polyurethane. This is a water-based sealer. I started with a foam brush, but it was just not working out. So I did switch over to a regular brush. Here it is, and here's how it turned out. I love it, guys. Our next project, we're going to take this Krylon black spray paint and spray paint these 3 baskets from the Dollar Tree. Then while those are drying, we're going to work on our sign. For the sign, I took 3 pieces of scrap wood. You can use 1 whole piece, This is just what I had on hand. I measured 2 inches on either side, and that's where I'm going to put our pieces of poplar. I screwed a couple pilot holes in, and I done it through the poplar and through my boards. Then added wood glue, spreaded it out. I sandwiched them together to get the wood glue on each piece. Then go ahead and add your screws. Is spreaded it out a word because I just used it, guys. It's early. Anyways, after the screws are added, be sure you add 3 screws, because if you don't, this will happen. So add 3 screws and then turn your sign over, and I'm using the Rust-Oleum chiffon cream again. I'm just doing 1 coat because I will be distressing it, so 1 coat is fine for me. You do however you like. Make sure you get the sides, the top, and the bottom. Everything that shows, I painted. The next thing I done was use an X-Acto knife to go in between each of those planks because I wanted those planks to show. I used the wax by Waverly to distress, starting on the edges and down each of those planks. I really wanted those to stand out. Then go ahead and sand it to blend everything in nicely. And this is where you can really see how the distressing looks like it's supposed to be there rather than it's painted on. So do not skip that step. After that, I am using my stapler to just staple those baskets in place. That is not the only support we will be using, so don't worry. You can actually use just little squares of poplar, but I found these pre-made in a bag at Hobby Lobby in their wood piece section. I just took some screws and screwed them in. 2 screws worked just fine. I really added in the extra support that I needed. Then I painted them and distressed them as well because I didn't know if I wanted to leave it like that, but I did end up using some burlap in the baskets so it covers it up. That I went on my phone, opened Cricut Design Space, and made some little words. That's all I done. I used the chalkboard font. Started typing the words, but I had to make some squares the size of my labels, then I duplicated it 3 times. Then I put the word paint in 2 of the squares and then typed out brushes. And I used that for the 3rd square. Then I deleted the squares and just printed off the words. Once it's done printing, then unload your mat and we're going to work on our labels. These are galvanized tags from the Dollar Tree. I just took those and cut them down and rounded out the edges or corners again because they were a little long for me. Then burnish your design down to your mat and start weeding it. Always weed from your mat because it's a lot easier. Be sure you get all the little pieces. It's not supposed to be inside your letters. And then we're going to get a piece of transfer tape. Put your transfer tape down on your design and burnish it, which means take your scraper or card or whatever you have and scrape it across the design. Flip your mat over and peel your mat away from your design. That will stop it from curling up. Cut your letters out, or words, then peel your backing away from your design, then put your words onto your labels. Once all your words are down on your labels, I'm going to take some hot glue. I use the Gorilla hot glue and a Jenga block and glue that Jenga block on the back of your label. After that, glue the labels to your sign. And add a little bit of hot glue to your hooks, wall hooks, and a nail. I add the hot glue so the wall claws, what are they called? I don't know. I use a little hot glue to keep those from moving while I'm nailing them in. After that, you can leave it like that, and I was going to, but I thought it looked still a little plain. So I took this burlap and lined my baskets with it, then just used a little hot glue to keep it in place. After that, I took my greenery and slagged it with some jute in the middle, and then made a little burlap bow, hot glued them together, and then hot glued that down to the sign, and I'm finished. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about this thrift flip and trash to treasure type DIYs. Let me know if you like them. I had a lot of fun with this video, and I'm super excited with how everything turned out. Now this is how I am using this sign, and this is the footboard for my bed. Here is some funny footage of my son. This is my youngest, this is Chasten. He is so silly, but he did not want to be in my video.